Hi friends, welcome to GRADE B. We are back with yet another very important lecture, the report that has been released very recently. It's Multidimensional Poverty Index 2021, right? So this is very important because poverty in ESI is very important topic. So we are going to cover what is Multidimensional Poverty Index and what is there in 2021 report for the global scenario and as well as for India in a very short and crisp manner, right? So let's begin. Let's begin with what is MPI, right? So the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index was developed in the year 2010. By whom? By Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative and the United Nations Development Program. Okay, and uses health, education, and standard of living indicators to determine the incidence and intensity of poverty experienced by a population. So, what is incidence and intensity that we are going to look forward in the lecture, right? So, this MPI, this forms the part of HDR report. So the latest HDR report was released on the December last year. That is the latest HDR report. So this MPI report of 2020-21 is a part of the HDR Human Development Report, right? It has been since used to measure the acute poverty over 100 developing countries. Okay, 100 developing countries. The global MPI is released annually by, so it's the frequency is annual. Frequency is annual by UNDP and OPHI, means Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, and the result published in their website. So the same result is being published by the UNDP and OPHI as well. So if you see both the logos are printed on the report, right? It replaced the Human Poverty Index. Okay, so before multidimensional poverty index, there were human poverty index, and this one replaced the erstwhile human poverty index, right? So I hope this is the basic thing and that is being cleared in the one slide. Now let's move forward. Dimensions of MPI, very important, right? So the broad dimensions are health, education, and standard of living, right? But when we you know when we get the broader look at health, it is divided in two parts: nutrition, child mortality, right? See, what is this one third? So this one third is the weightage given to health, and out of this one third, the half of one third is one sixth, and the half of one third is the another one sixth. So it is given to nutrition and child mortality, right? What is nutrition? So nutrition may be, see, the protein intake, the kind of food people have. Through that also, how a see, it completely depends on the earning as well. Okay, maybe the person who is earning well has good amount of nutrition intake in his or her food compared to person who earns less. Right? So nutrition is an important factor. Then child mortality. So child mortality, I hope I don't have to explain because we have already explained all these terms in the HDR report. If you have not watched this video, okay, HDR 2020 report, which was for the year 2019. It is available in our YouTube channel where we have explained in depth about what is HDR and how it is prepared. Right? So go ahead and watch that video because that is very important. And HDR is something you should read parallelly with MPI and also vice versa. MPI is something that you should parallelly read with HDR. Right? So both the cases it stands right. Then, then the second one is education. So again the weightage is one third. So out of this one third, 50% is given to years of schooling, 50% is given to school attendance, the other parameter, right? So And in the same way, standard of living is the third broad indicator. So it again has one third the weightage. So this is again divided in this many parts, 6 parts: cooking fuel, sanitization, drinking water, electricity, housing, assets. Right? So this may confuse a bit here, but you should know that there are 10 indicators in total, three divided in three major parts: health, education, and standard of living. Again, the health is divided into two parts, that is nutrition and child mortality. Education in two parts, year of schooling and school attendance. A standard of living in 6 parts, 6 equal parts. So if you divide one third in 6 equal parts, it will be 1/18 each, right? So we'll understand the meaning of everything in the next slide. See, dimensions of poverty: health, one third; nutrition and child mortality, so it's 1 by 6, 1 by 6 here. Now what is nutrition? Let us understand. Any person under 70 years of age from whom there is a nutritional information is undernourished, right? Any person whosoever in the age bracket from 1 day to 70 years, right? So if they are not properly neutralized, then they are known as undernutrition. Okay, so it caters to SDG 2. Okay, see, overall MPI, this caters to what? This caters to SDG 1. Okay, poverty. Okay, so it's MPI is a report that helps all the government in the world to work on Agenda 2030, where everyone needs to achieve the targets of sustainable development goals, right? So the first one caters to SDG 2, zero hunger. The second one, child mortality. What is the meaning? A child under 18 has died in the household in 5-year period preceding the survey. Okay, that's child mortality. So any child from the day 1 to 18 years, if have died, right? So let's say the report is publishing on 2021. Maybe the survey is from 2019-20. So this is a hypothetical example. So from 2019-20, if you go back to 5 years, so during this 5 years, whatever child have died will be counted as in this parameter, right? A child under 18 has died in household in a 5-year period preceding the survey. Again, the weightage is 1/6 and it caters to SDG 3, health and well-being, right? So let's move to the other one, education, the second one. Overall, it's one third. Years of schooling, it's 1/6 the weightage. School attendance is 1/6 the weightage. Years of schooling means no eligible household member has completed 6 years of schooling. Okay, then it is being counted as deprived from years of schooling, right? And it caters to SDG 4, quality education. Then school attendance. So again, so let us discuss. So what government of India is doing? So government of India is running many schemes, right? Many schemes through like Poshan Abhiyan 2.0. So all these schemes are to cater SDG 4, to cater to this report, so that people go to this school, get proper nutrition because the foods are also given there, and also study. Then school attendance. This is very important. Any school aged child is not attending school up to the age at which she would complete class 8. Okay, up to class 8. And this caters to again SDG 4 quality education. Right? So I hope till this much it is clear. Now, this is very important. The rest 6 parameters. Right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total 10 parameters. Right? So in product term it's 3, but if you say indicators, there are 10 indicators. So everyone has an equal weightage of 1/18th, 1 by 18th. So what is cooking fuel? Let us understand that. A household cooks using solid fuels such as dung, agricultural crop, shrubs, wood, charcoal, or coal. So to cater this, India has a very good scheme. What? Ujala 2.0, right? Recently, what happened? Recently, the scheme was opened for a target of, recently the scheme was open and the target has been achieved before the end of the financial year, right? So Ministry of Petroleum has received some valid uh, applications. So if you have been following our current affairs series in the YouTube channel, you already know what the news article is. I did not mention it here because I want, if you have not watched it, go ahead and watch that video. If you know it, then do help your friends by writing it in the comment section so that it get revised. Okay. So which SDG it caters to? It caters to SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. Okay. Then sanitization. The household has improved or no sanitization facility, or it's improved but shared with other household. Okay. Then they will be known as deprived. So it caters to SDG 6, clean water and sanitization. Clean water and sanitization. Now you see, India again has you. Let me write these schemes. Okay. So sanitization, what is this scheme? So there are many schemes towards sanitization. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Okay. Then open defecation free India. So many things, many campaign as well. Right. So uh, then let's move forward to drinking water. The household source of drinking water is not safe, or safe drinking water is a 30-minute or longer walk for a home and round trip. Right? So to cater this, it's Jal Jeevan Mission. Okay, it caters to SDG 6, clean water and sanitization. Then electricity. The household has no electricity. Okay, and for this also there is a scheme. Do mention it in the comment section. Okay, this also do mention it in the comment section. Affordable and clean energy, right? Then housing. The household has inadequate housing material in one of the three components: roof, floor, or wall. So again, this has a government scheme, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, under DNRLM. Then, and this caters to sustainable cities and communities, SDG 11. Okay, asset. The household does not own more than one of these assets: radio, TV, telephone, computer, animal cart, bicycle, motorbike, refrigerator, and does not own a car or truck. Okay, then they are deprived of an asset. SDG 1, no poverty. Okay, so I hope this is clear. This is completely aligned to Agenda 2030, that is achieving this sustainable development goals. Okay, so let's move forward and let us understand what is there in the report for the global. So gender findings. The report provides an intra-household analysis of MPI relating to girls and women education in 109 countries and household headship in 108. So as per the report, two-thirds of the multidimensionally poor people, 836 million, live in a household in which no girl or woman has completed at least 6 years of schooling. So this is the global scenario, right? So globally, 836 million households where there is no girl or woman has completed at least 6 years of schooling. Then one-sixth of the multidimensionally poor people, that is 215 million, live in a household in which at least one boy or man has completed at least 6 years of schooling, but no girl or woman has. Okay, then 1 in 6 multidimensionally poor people live in female-headed household. So only 1 in 6. So it's 1/6. So out of the 6 family, one family is being headed by a female, right? But this is not gender parity. So it has to be 3:3. Then the incidence of multidimensional poverty is positively associated with the rate of inmate partner violence against women and girls, right? So poverty is also seen as an, you know, as a way to where there is a violence against women and girls. Okay, so let's move forward. Ethnicity, race, and caste finding of the global scenario. The report explores the data available for ethnicity, race, and caste in the global MPI, 41 countries and 291 group, finding stark inequalities among ethnic groups in some countries in developing regions. Nearly 128 million people belong to ethnic group in which 70% or more of the population of those is multidimensionally poor. Okay, so the line itself is clear. More than 70% people are poor. Then indigenous people are among the poorest in Latin American countries covered. In in Bolivia, so these are related to countries, so these are not very important, but sometimes you will have to write where you have to compare the data with the global scenario. You need to know this thing, so it's best you read once or twice, that is enough. Okay, so look at this line, very important. The two poorest ethnic group in Gambia, the Wolf and Sarol, have roughly the same MPI value but different composition of multidimensional poverty. Means the value is same, but the indicators are different. I mean the level of poverty is same, but they are poor in different sense. Maybe the one do not have drinking water facility and the other one who have the drinking water but do not have electricity facility in that terms, right? So that was an hypothetical example. So let's move forward with the what is the composition of multidimensional poverty around the world. There are many lines, not all the lines are important, but you should go through all the lines at least once or twice. Across 109 countries, 1.3 billion people, 21.7 live in a acute multidimensional poverty. 21.7. So, of how much? Of 1.3 billion people. Okay, from 109 countries. Then about half, 644 million, are children under age 18, live under acute multidimensional poverty. Nearly 85% live in sub-Saharan Africa, 556 million, or South Asia, 532 million. Right? So these are the people in the South Asia or Sub-Saharan Africa, where more than 85% of this 21.7% people lives. Right? Then roughly 84%, that is 1.1 billion, lives in rural area, and 16%, 209 million, lives in urban area. So see, it's very common. People in the urban area are the poor. Even in India also, if you go to the urban centers like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, you will find poor people. But if you go to rural India, comparatively, the poor are more, and the level of poverty is also more. Right? So there you will find there are some poor who do have uh, maybe a motorbike, but there are poor who even do not have the capacity to eat 2 times or 3 times a day. Okay, so that is the level of poverty. Next one is, in 43 of 60 countries with both multidimensional and monetary poverty estimates, the incidence of multidimensional poverty was higher than the incidence of monetary poverty. Okay, means they are poor in terms of money is a fact. They are also poor in terms of the facilities, means they are deprived of those indicators. But if you compare it, the comparison shows that the indicators, the level of access they have is way lower than the incidence of monetary, means the when we compare it with the only money part of the poor or poverty, right? So we as a layman often consider a poor when the guy doesn't have enough money to live, right? So that is what we do. Then more than 67% live in a middle income countries, where the incidence ranges from 0.1% to 68%. So not that important. 67% in middle income countries. Out of the 80 countries permitting study of trend data covering roughly 5 billion people, 70% experienced a statistically significant reduction of MPI value during at least one period. So that's something very good in the report. Out of 20 countries that reduced their MPI value the fastest, 14 were Sub-Saharan Africa, 13 were 3 were South Asia, 2 were in East Asia and Pacific, and 1 was in Latin American and Caribbean. Right? The fastest reduction was in Sierra Leone. You should remember this name. Okay? From 2013 to 17 during the Ebola pandemic, followed by Togo, Mauritania, and Ethiopia. So Sierra Leone is something that you should not forget. Then, in 24 countries studied for trends, there was no statistical significant reduction in multidimensional poverty among children. So, not very important line. Okay, so let's move to the next one and let us see India highlights. Right. So national MPI is at 0.123. Okay, very easy to remember, 0.123. Now this how 0.123 is achieved, that we will look. Okay, so this is the statewide data as well. Not very much important. So let's move forward. Let us understand how that is achieved. So before we read this, look at this data. So it has been divided in national, urban, and rural. Okay, so this is from the UNDP report that is released. MPI is for national, which includes urban plus rural, it's 0.123. How this is achieved? This is achieved by this A and H. So MPI is equal to H into A. What is H? H is incidence of poverty and A is average intensity of poverty. Now, what are the meaning of these two? Absolutely not important. Okay? Absolutely not important for our NABARD and RBI or SEBI examinations. Okay, this is achieved how? So if you convert this percentage to normal, it would be 27.9 would be 0.279 multiplied by 0.5 439. If you multiply this, you will get the value somewhere around 0.123, right? So this is how it is calculated. So you see, if you the rural population is 67.7%, okay, the urban is 32.3%, and national is 100%, covering both. Okay, so how many people live in severe poverty? In rural area, 11.8% in very severe poverty, and in urban it's 2.4. And national it becomes 8.8. Okay, so here you see the vulnerable data. Vulnerable for rural it's 21.8, for urban it's 14%, and for national it's 19.3%. Right? So this is one of the most important slide in the entire lecture. Okay, do take a screenshot of it. Look at closely for next couple of days, many a times a day. Yes, I certainly argue that you are bound to remember all the data because these are very important data. And see this MPI report, the 0.123, it ranges from 0 to 1. Okay. The more closer to 0 will show the report in good. I mean the value when it gets to closer to 0 means the country is improving. The value that is more aligned towards 1 is towards the more deprived nations, right? So what is our value? Our value is 0.123. Let's move forward. Headcount ratio by the poverty measure. Okay. So this is what? So this slide here we are going to learn about. Okay. I think it's incidence of poverty. Let us check it once again. Headcount ratio by poverty measures. Now you look, the national is 27.9%. We have seen this is A. Sorry, this is H. Okay, what is H? It's incidence of poverty, 27.9%. This is H, incidence of poverty. Okay, so the global MPI is 27.9%. Now, if you compare this with the US poverty line, that is US dollar 1.90 a day, we see it's below, right? So this report, global MPI report, is more dynamic and covers the wide spectrum. If you compare it with USD 3.10 a day, you see that the poor people in India increases to somewhere around 61-62%, right? And if you see the national measure, is the average. Okay, so have you understood? This is world as per the World Bank poverty line, that is USD 1.90 a day. So let us move, let us understand the headcount ratio of the global MPI and monetary poverty measures, incidence of poverty. The height of the first bar of figure 2, so this is the figure 2, shows the percentage of people who are MPI poor. So 27.9% are MPI poor. The second and the third bar represent the percent of the people who are poor according to the World Bank's $1.90 a day and $3.10 a day poverty line. This one and this one. The third one is the national income or consumption or expenditure poverty method, right? So this is somewhere aligned to the MPI or aligned to the World Bank $1.90 right? So let's move forward with the H part of it. Okay, this is the H part. So see, the H part is when the data is between this 33.3% and below 40%, then it's good. Let us study that. Incidence of poverty, sorry, intensity of poverty, A, is an average proportion of weighted indicator in which poor people are deprived. So this is depreciation calculation. So how people are deprived from different needs. A person who is deprived in 90% of the weighted indicators had a greater intensity of deprivation uh, than someone deprived in 40% of the weighted indicator. Okay, so this figure shows the percentage of MPI poor people who experience different intensities of depreciation. For example, the first slice of the pie chart shows depreciation intensity of greater than 33% but strictly less than 40%. This one. Okay, so let's move forward in the lecture and let us see the percentage of the population. You see, so this is the national average 27.9%. So look, 27.9% is the percentage of population, right? But what is the intensity of poverty? It's more than one third, means 33.3% is there. They are deprived of basic things. So that's really, really high. If you go down the line and check their deprivation level, you see an increase. Okay, so 40% deprivation, the population is 12.3%, 50% 8.8%. So what is this? See, 27.9, 12.3, 8.8, 3.4, these are percentage of the population. Okay, and the intensity of poverty means they are deprived from those basic needs, right? See the 10 parameters, the 10 indicators that we have seen. So pause the video, look at this once or twice, try to remember some 2-3 bars, and that would be enough for your writing in the descriptive part, right? So let's move forward and let us understand this in depth. So the proportion of population in a country that is poor in that percentage of indicators or more. For example, the number over the 40% bar represent the percentage of people who are deprived in 40% or more weighted indicators. Okay, so that is what I have already explained it. Right, so let's move forward in the lecture and let us see censored headcount report. So see, this is the depreciation level of the population. So nutrition, there are 21.2% of the population in India who are not getting proper nutrition. Okay. Now, when I say nutrition, what do I mean? Go to that second or third slide where we have explained the definition or the coverage of nutrition, child mortality, years of schooling, so that you understand it better. Right? Child mortality is 2.2%. Years of schooling is 11.7% of the population. School attendance is 5.5% of the population. Cooking fuel is 26.2% of the population. Sanitation is 24.6, and in this way, all this percentage. Right? So this is a very important slide. Then let's move forward in the lecture. This is the statewise report. Okay, not very important, but still we thought of placing it in one of the slide so that you know that the UNDP only creates these reports and publish it in its data, right? So Then let us see the comparison or the change over time. From when? From 2005-6 to 2015-16. So if you see, we have improved a lot. Okay. So the value ranges from 0 to 1. So the target should a target is to go closer to the 0. If you see, we were at 0.283 and now we are at 0.123, means we are more closer to 0. That is important, right? That is important. So we are again close to achieve some of the indicators for the agenda 2030 as well. Then the incidence and intensity of multidimensional poverty in India vary by caste. So this is something unique in the report, where they have presented the caste report as well. So if you see, scheduled tribes are the one of the people who are deprived the most. Then the scheduled tribe, then the other backward class, then none of the above, then no caste, no tribe, then this is the national average. What's the national? It's 27.2. Okay. Then intensity of multidimensional poverty. Okay, this was incidence. This is intensity. So you see again intensity as well. The scheduled tribe is deprived more, then scheduled caste, then other backward class, then none of the above, no caste. Then this is the national average, that is India. Okay. So you see that the reservation that India gives to scheduled tribe and scheduled tribe are somewhat justified when you see this kind of data, right? So let's move forward with few other details regarding India. So let us start with this. In India, 5 out of the 6 multidimensionally poor people are from lower tribe or caste. Okay. The scheduled tribe group accounts for 9.4% of the population and is the poorest, with 65 million of the 129 billion people living in multidimensional poverty. Right? Then pause the video and read this paragraph. This is very important. Make a note of it. Like in India, scheduled tribe accounts for 9.4% of population. Scheduled tribe 9.4% of population. Important point. Okay. Then more than 65 million or 129 million live in a multidimensional poverty. Okay. According to the report, more than 65 million of 129 million people live in multidimensional poverty. Okay. Next one, they have highest incidence. They have the highest incidence 50.60% and intensity 45.90. Okay, so if you multiply it, you get the MPI score. Okay, so if you multiply 0.506 multiplied by 0.459, so whatever the result will come would be the MPI score for the multidimensional poverty by caste in India. The scheduled caste for the scheduled tribe, and for the scheduled caste group follows 33%, 94 million of the 283 million people living in the multidimensional poverty. Okay, so go ahead and read the data. You will in a better position to write objective and descriptive as well. Okay, so with this we have come to the end of this lecture. We wish you very good luck for your examination. Thank you from team Grad Grade B.